this is too windy. So I tried to film this video yesterday and I failed. Basically, I think what it boils down to, and I sort of struggled with this even when I first kind of announced that I would be doing it, this video is just gonna be about me. It's a Q&A, and some people have been asking for it. I agreed to do it when I hit 10,000 subscribers, which was a little while ago, and then just didn't, because I think I love talking about my animals and sharing my animals. Talking about myself is very uncomfortable, which, why am I on YouTube? That'll help make this less awkward. It feels a little narcissistic, I guess, self-centered, but I love watching other people's Q&As. I like to learn about people, so I definitely want to do this and just kind of let you get to know me a little bit better. Bear with me if this is horribly awkward, and also if I turn into the girl from The Ring because of the wind. Because I'm traveling, I thought it would be a great opportunity to do this video right now since I don't have my animals with me. A few days ago on all of my social media, I asked for some questions, and I ended up getting a lot of questions about me, but also a lot of questions about the pigs. I'm gonna make two separate videos if I don't blow away. One pertaining to specifically pig-related questions, and then this one. I hope you can hear me. It's so windy. I should have maybe thought about that. I'm a terrible YouTuber. Today, though, we are just gonna be talking about me. If you're not interested, I'm not offended, go ahead and just leave this video now. Okay, I also soaked this piece of paper, so here we go. How many pets do you have? I do have a meet all my pets video, however, it's pretty outdated at this point, so I think that one said 79. At this point, I'm gonna say close to 100. Actually, with the foster puppies, at least 100. What are your plans and goals for 2019? I would say the biggest one is doing more for my animals. I've talked about how I want to create an official nonprofit sanctuary of some kind, and I'm still kind of going through the paperwork and legalities and everything of that. It's a lot of work in the state that I live in. They're very strict. Fingers crossed, 2019, but it'll be some variation of that essentially. And then really growing this community and channel, branching out onto other platforms as well. I've just really enjoyed this, and so I hope to continue growing it. I'm just waiting for this piece of paper to blow away. What do you do for work? I am a dog sitter, would be the short answer. However, it's a little misleading because I actually own a business. I created an official licensed real business for dog sitting. So it's not like I'm just looking after one dog here and there. I have a full doggy daycare Monday through Friday, and then I have overnight guests every single day, and sometimes it's 10 or more dogs, but basically I'm never without them. I actually do just play with animals all day long. What's my daily schedule? I've had people ask me to film like a day in my life for a daily routine, and I would like to. This is outrageous. I would like to, however, no 2 days really look the same in my life, so I'm kind of still trying to figure out exactly what an average day is. I don't even know, because with that many animals, there's always a new adventure, something exciting, and no 2 days look the same. But basically you could assume from start to finish, it's pretty much just animals. What does it involve to become a sanctuary, and how can we help? I kind of touched on that. Basically what I'm struggling with right now is there's a lot of fees and a lot of inspections. There's several different agencies that have to be involved, that have to come out, that have to approve things. Just the initial fees even for it are astronomical. So I'm still figuring out which is kind of funny since it is hopefully going to be a nonprofit. My battery died. Ow, 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 ow. I just said the vehicle wrong. What does it take to, okay, and how can we help? Okay, so how can we help? This is so awkward. So where I'm at right now, the pets I have, the lifestyle I have, I am very careful with my budgeting. I make very certain that I have budgeted accordingly, and I'm good with my money, and I work really hard, and so I'm fine. But in this particular line of work that I'm trying to pursue, obviously the more resources you have, the more you're able to do. And so, with a lot of encouragement from family and friends, I am going to be setting up a couple of ways, because people keep asking, how can we donate, how can we contribute? So I'm going to have a couple of ways down the road in the future for those of you that do want to be more involved and want to help out. Yeah, it just expands my capabilities even more. It gives me a little more flexibility with my daytime job versus the time I can spend caring for the animals I rescue and things like that. So there will be a Patreon and just ways to donate. Amazon wish list with just animal food. If you have a pet that you feel like you particularly love, you can, you know, spoil them, buy them treats or food or toys or whatever. I'll have all that set up. And I will never talk about it again because it makes me very uncomfortable. But it'll be there in the description on future videos at some point. What do I do in my free time? Play with the animals, ride the horses. That is probably one of my favorite ways to spend my free time, though, is with my animals, which I guess is probably not what you meant by free time, because that's also what I do with my work time. But beyond that, I play a lot of video games. I do enjoy that. My sister and I like getting out, especially taking the dogs, hiking and things like that around Georgia. That was one of the main reasons I selected to live in Georgia. We go to the Renaissance festivals. We make it a point to go to a lot of those throughout the year. I really like them. I like making the costumes and everything for them. It's a lot of nerdy stuff. Advice for people just starting out that want to do what you do for animals. Start. And it doesn't have to be anything close to this scale ever, but get started. If it's something you feel passionate about that you think would make you feel more fulfilled and give your life purpose, do it, even on a small scale. Even if it's just one animal every couple years that you're able to help or foster, you know, you're making a difference in that one animal's life. And it doesn't matter if it's as small as a mouse, you're still doing something, and both you and the mouse are going to reap the rewards from it. So do it. Do you like hamsters? Will you get any soon? I have a hamster and I do love them. They're adorable. I will say I have been bit by a lot of hamsters that I've owned, and I've never been bitten by any rats. So hamsters can be a little temperamental, but I love them. They are so cute. Do you have any siblings? I have a younger sister who's been on this channel a few times. She will be making her own channel because she fosters a ton of kittens and actually has a degree in zoology and is probably more qualified than I am. She'll have her own channel. She's been saying it for a year. She'll get there eventually. And then I have a stepbrother. When did you start getting into WoW, and your favorite thing about gaming? I got started in gaming really, okay, so growing up, we weren't really allowed to have many video games or watch a lot of TV. Basically, my mom would send us outside and shut the door behind us and tell us to just use our imagination, and I am so thankful for that. We grew up in the woods, and we would play forever, making forts, finding bugs. It was awesome. I wouldn't have traded my childhood for anything. They were always taking us fishing and camping, backpacking, and all of that. I once got lost in the Rocky Mountains with my dad when I was like 12. Anyways, growing up, I didn't have access to a lot of that kind of stuff, but every once in a while at a friend's house or whatever, I would play, I played Nintendo or Sega. Yes, I'm aging myself. And then I really got into gaming. I was probably 18 when I first saw an ad for a Lord of the Rings video game, and that I was sold, not surprisingly. So it was the Lord of the Rings Online MMO, and I became crazy addicted to this game. I was living in Hawaii at the time, and I spent way more time than I should have on my computer playing it instead of being out and enjoying Hawaii. That game kind of fizzled out a bit. It will always have a special place in my heart, but it did kind of, the player base just sort of slowed down a little bit. So someone suggested WoW, and that was probably, I don't know, 5 years ago. I'm not good at it. I don't like any games that involve like PvP or first-person shooters. Don't make me fight other living people, basically. It gives me anxiety. But I love the rest of it. Of course, I love collecting pets and mounts. Not shocking. And otherwise, I think one of my favorite things about gaming is that both my mother and my sister really love to do it too. So we all get to play together no matter where we're at. We tend to all move around quite a bit. So it's a way for us to spend a lot of time together doing something fun. How can you afford so many animals? I get this question all the time. And it is a lot. Of course it's a lot. It's very expensive. I've definitely learned how to prioritize my money, how to budget, what things are a priority for me probably are not for the average person, of course. You know, I buy basically everything at thrift stores or secondhand. I would do that no matter what though, to be fair. I think no matter how much money I have in my life, I will always prefer to buy repurposed, recycled items, just to kind of cut down on the excess and the waste, but also because it's a good deal and you can find some amazing things. So my clothes, my furniture, everything that I buy that I need is basically thrift store prices. Oh, every time the wind blows, I'm just gonna take a drink. I'm never untangling my hair. But then beyond that, I do know my limit, and I take into consideration before I obtain a new animal or agree to take one on, what their needs are gonna be, what their bills are going to be. And I make sure that it's within my budget and that I'm not gonna have to cut any corners anywhere that I don't wanna be. I do work very hard with my dog business. And now with the social media stuff, there's a little extra, not a lot, don't be fooled, but it's a little, so it helps. Where do you live? I live just outside Atlanta. I've been there for about 3 years. But home for me is Michigan. I grew up in northern Michigan, spent the first 17 years of my life there. I spent 2 years living in Hawaii outside of Honolulu, and then I spent a year in Nashville, and then I spent a year in Sacramento, and then I spent 7 years in Texas, so that's probably like home away from home for me. But I moved to Georgia like 3 years ago, and actually following this, I'm headed to Texas, so we're gonna go back to where I was living in Texas and film a video also. I like to move around a lot. Obviously with the pets now, that's gonna make it very difficult, so I don't know exactly if or when that will happen. I would like to move somewhere with more space, so perhaps one day, but for now that's where I'm at. How many acres is your farm? Perfect transition. It is 11. And I was coming from 100 acres before, so I love having, yeah, my own space. And even with 11 acres, that might seem big to some people, it might seem really small to other people, but basically for me, it still means neighbors are too close. I want more space. How many of the puppies are you keeping? Or the moms? I would be, so the way that fostering works and why I've always been reluctant to do it is because yes, I fall in love with all of them and I don't want to get rid of them, but theoretically the more you keep, the fewer you can take in following that. So I don't know. I'm undecided. When were you diagnosed with Tourette's? I started showing symptoms of Tourette's around the age of like 12, 13, but it was just physical tics. I'm gonna do a whole video on this eventually if anybody cares, but basically physical tics, and this is so awesome. I'm gonna slow motion these. So graceful, elegant. So yeah, I started showing signs of Tourette's when I was 12 or 13. It was just physical tics though, and we kind of just called it like my little thing. It almost just looked like a shiver or something. We just sort of dismissed it for like the next decade. And then it was progressively getting worse. And then it became vocal tics as well. And so probably around, it might have been like 25 or 26. I have an aversion to doctors, okay? I've taken antibiotics once in the last 15 years, and that was just like the other day for my wisdom tooth. So I was very, very reluctant, but it was becoming something that was really affecting my life. I already knew what it was. I just needed the diagnosis, and I wanted to try some medications to see if it would help because it was making the simplest of tasks very frustrating. Went in, sure enough, after lots of expensive brain scans and tests and all kinds of stuff, Tourette's. Tried medications, they made it worse, and so yeah, we're back where we started. Do you find animals are the best therapy? Yes, in light of what I said, medication doesn't work, and one of the big contributing factors for Tourette's tics is stress, which the animals help me keep in check. What made you decide to do YouTube? I think this is a question that everyone who knows me asks me all the time. I think it's hilarious that out of all of our friend groups and whatever else that I'm the one that decided to do this because I'm incredibly quiet in real life. I started on Twitch though, and I don't know what inspired me to, I have no idea why on earth I thought I would be good at live streaming and talking to strangers. But it turns out I wasn't bad, and I actually really loved it. My internet did not, so that wasn't an option. However, it led me to YouTube, where I discovered that YouTube was not just for music videos, and there was actually a lot of amazing content and creators, and it was potentially a place for me to share my lifestyle, which I'd been told many times wasn't really typical, wasn't normal, and was something that would possibly interest other people who weren't living it. I also was getting a lot of pig-related questions already, and rather than continue trying to answer every single question I was getting on a very regular basis, I thought consolidating my answers in one place, in videos also, which is just, for a lot of people, I feel like it's a better delivery method than having to read a response, and it's something you can still refer back to. So I thought it would be a great place to share what I know about pigs and send everybody here. Which pet is your favorite? I could never decide. The rest would rebel and absolutely kill me. But I joke that it just depends. Whichever one is the best behaved that day has caused the least amount of mischief. It's getting very windy again. Do you have a support staff? Oh man, can you imagine? That would be so nice. Okay, can we put that on my goals list for 2019? I would like to have just one person, one support staff member to help me do everything with the pets. And again, afford me the luxury of having even more pets. Although I say that, and actually I'm so particular and so private in real life that I don't think that would ever be an option, realistically. I worry too much about the pets if I'm not the one physically overseeing everything. And yeah, I'm just really awkward and uncomfortable. It's gonna rain any minute, we gotta hurry. Where did you grow up? Like I said, Northern Michigan. Amazing, amazing place, except for in the winter, or I would still be there. What made you get started with animals? I have always been animal obsessed. Both of my parents are also big animal lovers. We're gonna get rain on literally any minute now. Both of my parents are really big animal lovers. I grew up having quite a few animals as it was, but it was never enough for me. I looked after stuffed animals and animal figures. My room was covered in stuffed animals and like the littlest pet shops I was obsessed with, and I had, gosh, probably, I don't even know, 100 little horse figurines, and way past the age when it was appropriate, I was still like pretending that sticks were real horses and things like that. Nobody is shocked that I've ended up with a bunch of animals and kind of making it my life's mission, I suppose. Oh good, one last question. I'm not gonna get wet. I don't care about me, but I want this camera to get wet. First unusual pet you owned. Okay, so growing up we had, my dad was always taking us outside, so we were always allowed to like catch frogs and salamanders and turtles and newts and fish and whatever else, and then like keep them for like an hour and then release them again. But that's also, side note, that's his profession. He is an environmentalist basically, and specifically geared towards wild animals and monitoring their populations and their ecosystems and their environment and the effects that we are having on them, and making sure that we're not destroying natural habitats, counting endangered species populations, things like that. So this wasn't just like anyways. But we also, I would say, so we had budgies, we had chinchilla, we had, I don't know which one was my first one though. We had chickens and rabbits, and we had geckos. I don't know, are these weird? I don't know if those are, I have no gauge anymore. I don't even know what a weird or unusual animal is at this point. Okay, I did it. If you posted something that was pig related, I will answer that in a different video. Right now, I'm going to protect my camera and go back in the house. But thank you all for your questions. We'll be back to your regularly scheduled animal-filled content in probably a week.